Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And the drama just does not seem to stop right now in the competitive Call of Duty community. We had Awakening versus Neptune just a couple of days ago. Now iLLeY coming out on Temp stream and kind of giving a reason why Awakening fell off towards the end of the year. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoy the video, subscribe if you are new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Really upset the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. First of all, this from COD Gamepedia that was noticed on the CDL glossary with a potential new type of CDL contract. We'll look at it in a second right here that in fact this has been a case I'm pretty sure for an entire season, but it is interesting to see regardless. Game launch extension allows teams to assess players once the new game launches so they can decide whether to retain or drop them. So there's an extension you can bring into play. This is how it is described right here. Short-term extension which extends the term of the contract through the date that is the earlier of 2 weeks following release of the next primary Call of Duty game, which is Vanguard, or December the 1st, 2021. By that date, teams have the choice to do the full extension to the end of the 2022 season for those players. If not, players become free agents. This form of extension is to allow teams to assess after game launch if they want to keep a player. So if you want from now on, and I'm pretty sure from last season as well, you can just decide to either let the player be a free agent after the World Championship or keep them on for another few months until the game comes out. Then you can assess whether you actually want to keep them or not for the upcoming title, which is kind of interesting. At the same time, as soon as the game comes out, you can't really tell if they're immediately going to be great on that game or not. I think it takes a little bit longer to figure things out. So maybe these teams just decided, yeah, okay, if we don't want to move with this player, if we don't think they're the right fit for the team, let's just get rid of them. And also, you don't have to pay the extra few months of salary that you would if you kept on this contract extension. So not really sure if this is being used. I mean, we can see right here from Wisdom, who was formerly a part of the Ultra, not new, had these going into Season 2, which was, of course, this Cold War season, and Brian Saint over at the Minnesota Rokkr. This isn't new, it's optional, and the player needed to agree to it when signing the contract. For the record, the vast majority of pros are not on game extension contracts, but maybe some of them are. So maybe something to keep your eyes on going forward as well, that maybe some players, and most players, will become free agents after champs, but some of them will actually stay on with their organisation until after the new title comes out. What could those players potentially be? It is kind of interesting because, of course, Methods we think is an unrestricted free agent, but he's still part of Toronto, it seems, right now. This I thought was interesting from Adam and Damo actually over at Toronto, kind of talking about their philosophy with the Defiant, which is their Overwatch League team would be doing a disservice to our players by holding on to anyone that we're not 100% committed to keeping. So I wonder if they'll kind of copy and paste this philosophy over to the Call of Duty side. With a guy like Methods, it could be the case as well. They'd be stranded should we change our minds later. That's unfair. We release them as free agents. It's of course talking about the Overwatch League team, but you know, it's the same guys that run both organizations. That's unfair. We release them as free agents without restrictions to give them the best chance at success. So well, potentially they'll do something like this going forward in the COD scene. It certainly seems like Toronto as an organization has taken significant strides from all the drama that they kept being in, well, honestly not too many months ago at this point. So let's talk about this then. From Greater CDL Intel tweets this out a couple of days ago. Neptune speaking on mutineers. Of course, we looked at this clip where Neptune was like, yeah, Awakening's effectively a one-man army. He's not really too interested in playing with the rest of his team. Very talented player, but it doesn't quite have what it takes maybe to, you know, win championships at that level. And I think Neptune was particularly happy, maybe it seems, going to New York, for example, if he is indeed doing that, where he's going to have more of a leadership, or well, team around him in terms of Crimsix and Clayster, they didn't really have on the Florida Mutineers. So Awakening kind of responded to this, at least we thought Awakening was kind of implying that this tweet was the one he was directing it at. Never going to win, heard it here first, kind of saying to Neptune, yeah, you're not going to win, mate. It's, you know, you don't have either the talent or whatever the case may be. Now, this kind of continues. Yesterday, there was a clip that came out from Temp stream that was caught very quickly by an individual who wishes to remain anonymous before the entire VOD was deleted. So, well, thank you very much indeed for that one. But, well, anyway, this is the clip that is kind of being discussed here between iLLeY and, well, Awakening. So, two players that have played in the past. We see, you know, they won a tournament right here way back in 2019. And the discussion is from iLLeY that Awakening is obviously a very talented player. Like, the pros definitely acknowledge that in terms of raw talent, he's particularly good. But, well, ever since he got his girlfriend, iLLeY is suggesting kind of middle of this season sometime, is that, well, his ability has fallen off quite significantly, and now he's nowhere near the player that he once was.
Challenge.
Yeah, same. I was challenging too, like in the start, and I started playing like
Yeah, I was trying to play like Awakening, bro.
that guy's shit, bro. Ever since he got a girl, bro, like that boy's trying.
I was streaming right now, you know that, right?
Really? Really?
Yeah, I was streaming. I thought you knew.
I didn't know.
Oh, my bad. Ah, yeah. We can play the could play the 2v2.
So I tried to do a little bit of Sherlock Holmes work right here to figure out exactly when Owakening and his girlfriend started dating. I found this initial interaction from sometime at the start of April. So maybe that's the case. I don't really know. I don't want to go too deep into this stuff. But anyway, it was interesting what iLLeY said. Like Owakening, like ever since he got his girlfriend, he just said, well, he fell off quite significantly. And you could well argue this does relatively well align with the statistics that, of course, well, we see over the last couple of titles. When Owakening first came into the Mutineers last year, Mutineers in general do a fantastic job of bringing up young talent that is great for them going forwards, that either they can sell on or something can happen with. This was his Lion Man card for the full year during Modern Warfare. He had a 97 overall. These stats are completely outrageous. A 1.15 in hardpoint, a 1.23 in search, 1.17 in domination. Incredibly consistent. Kills per round, killed per 10 minutes were just out of control. Damage wasn't considered, I suppose, in the Lion Man cards at this time, but first blood rate was absolutely absurd in Search and Destroy as well. And just so many stats last year. Like, this is his entire season when he won 2 events, of course, on that Mutineers team, and had many good events, to be honest. So like Awakening was considered, like, some people were saying, wow, is this guy hacking? Is something dodgy going on? Because like, the amount of clips he would have, the ability, like his awareness was just insane. Like, he was one of the players that people were most talking about, and people were saying, like, legitimately at the start of this season, I remember people were saying, okay, wow, what team could we put together to take down FaZe after they won like stage 1 that could actually beat them? And people were legitimately putting Awakening in that conversation as being one of the players that you build around to try and build a squad that can beat FaZe, just because of how good he was in stage 1 as well this year. We can see, I mean, this was the overall card that we just looked at. There was this as well, so this is stage 1 cards from Lion Man, the top performers in the entire stage. Of course, Simp and, I mean, Clayster was absolutely a monster in stage 1 as well. So many purples all the way across the board right here. Huke was dominant in stage 1 as well, but Awakening is right here, right? He's right here like in top 6 in terms of rating in stage 1. He had a 1.01 in hardpoint, some purples across the board in terms of the 99 rated. His Search and Destroy was absolutely ridiculous, and then this is kind of what happened for the rest of the season, right? He goes from being a 93 overall right at the start of the season to stage 2, stage 3, I suppose, when the girlfriend comes into the picture that iLLeY is kind of describing, when things start to go sour, right? And in terms of rating, you pretty much got worse every single stage. Of course, rating isn't the be-all and end-all of stuff like this, but it is interesting to see how Awakening was like the most impactful player on that Florida Mutineers team, and one of the most impactful players in the game that so many people were talking about right at the start of this title, but towards the end, now people are saying, wow, do you actually keep Awakening at all on the Mutineers, or do you decide to go down a different direction? Because this is the question. Sky's Awakening, Havoc and Yeez, that's potentially the team going to be for next year. Daft Paddy, is he there as well? Like, do you sell Awakening elsewhere? Because honestly, it didn't seem like Skies and Awakening worked particularly well this past year. I think maybe an additional leadership figure could be what they need with what Neptune was saying. So it's very tough to say, but it is an interesting discussion, really, the fact that when players get girlfriends or whatever, takes their time away to some degree from the game. We saw Crimsix, of course, got married earlier today. Some players can certainly do it and make it work, but I don't know, it can be a thing, right? And maybe that's a prevailing opinion in the professional scene that iLLeY is kind of discussing there. The fact that, yeah, I mean, Awakening a great talented player, but nowhere near where nowhere near as good now as he was then because of the girlfriend coming into the picture. So difficult to say precisely, but I mean, that's the thing. Like, Awakening was considered, it still is considered one of the most talented players that we have, but the discussion around him like really fell off a cliff in the middle of this season. Kind of coincides with maybe what iLLeY is discussing in that clip we looked at right here. This I thought was interesting as well, actually, because some people are suggesting like Cold War, most forgettable year of Call of Duty. I don't necessarily think that was the case. As aBeZy says, you forgot Modern Warfare 19 multiplayer existed. COD was 100 times better this year, not even a contest. I think that this title, I mean, Cold War, like, it certainly got a lot of not necessarily undeserved criticism, but there was certainly a lot of criticism for this title. Every time in a video that I said that Cold War's actually pretty good, like, it's not too bad, like, people would comment down below saying, you're blasted, I'm faded. Maybe I am, but I think that people will look back on this title, Cold War, and say, okay, well, actually, that was a pretty damn good competitive COD. We had good maps in that game. The guns were pretty fun to use, and we honestly had some great moments this season as well. So I think certainly a lot more memorable moments from this year than there was in Modern Warfare last year. Some of that comes down to the format as well, the fact that there was some major tournaments, there was some LANs, there was not the 8-team home series stuff we had in Modern Warfare. So I think that in the combination, hopefully, of a good game this time in Vanguards with a good format, if the pros have been listened to, I suppose, by the CDL, if the pros have given them good ideas, then of course that is going to make a pretty big difference. This is well kind of to follow on from that topic for the Modern Warfare 2 Ghost, the worst map in Call of Duty history. Of course, in recent memory, it's kind of tough to say. A few good ones pointed out right here, so I guess this is a Martyr Strike from the most recent title in Cold War. This is Piccadilly for Modern Warfare. We would ought to talk about that one. Of course, from way back in the day, you can look at a map like Stonehaven, people would talk about from Call of Duty Ghost, and there's plenty of other maps in that game as well. I think Chasm, and is it a map called Siege? I think Siege in Ghosts might be like the most ridiculous map of all time. It's so big, it's actually outrageous. I'd never played a TDM on Siege. I'm pretty sure it was called Siege in Ghosts that went to the kill limit. Like, there was never a TDM that went went to 75 kills. It was like always went to time. It was just absurd. The 6v6 TDM on that map, there was no kills happening at all. You couldn't find anyone. Everyone was sitting in the bushes with ghillie suits. But I suppose for competitive play, these aren't bad options. But at least Piccadilly for Search and Destroy had some utility and had some decent sniper moments, but wasn't the best map by any means. And just to finish off with this for the COD League as well, 5 top fire listens from Zuma. Thought this is kind of funny, right? Yeah, being a streamer, non-copyrighted beats number 1 to 4, and well, a Frank Sinatra hit to finish off the top 5. You simply cannot go wrong. A man of culture indeed. Very much intrigued to get your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. Really upset the YouTube algorithm. I know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you much as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.
Plant. You see Cellium's position all the way in the back. He's just playing for this bomb plant now. They have this setup they want. Simp with number 3. Temp those on the defuse. Temp's on it. He just jumps on it, Clint. He's in the smoke. He's in the smoke. Priestahh!
Priestahh, he's right up! Priestahh, he's below you! Priestahh, he's on you!
That's a defuse.
Oh, no!
Oh, boy.
Oh, no!
Hello, sir.
Close enough to drop kick him!
Wow.
Oh, what a defuse from Temp. What a play for the subliners. It was another first blood for FaZe, and they...